You can be my charity case for the day, Zara. Just don't embarrass me in front of my real friends. The words hit like a physical blow, even through the phone. Zara Chen pressed her back against the kitchen counter of her tiny apartment, watching her reflection in the black screen of her laptop. Her twin sister's voice carried that familiar edge, the one that had been cutting her down since they were children. I'm sorry, what did you just say to me, Nia? You heard me. Nia's laugh was sharp, crystalline. Look, I know you're struggling right now with your little situation. But my wedding is going to be perfect, and I need you there because Mom will literally kill me if you're not. So I'm throwing you a bone. You can come, I'll even let you sit at the family table. But just try to look presentable, okay? Maybe borrow something decent to wear. Zara's hand tightened around the phone. 3 months. 3 months since she'd lost her job at the marketing firm when they downsized. 3 months of rejection letters, dwindling savings, and watching her carefully built life crumble piece by piece. And somehow, Nia knew exactly how to twist the knife. I have clothes, Nia. Do you? Because last time I saw you, you looked like you'd been shopping at. I'll be there. The words came out harder than Zara intended. What's the date again? October 15th. The Meridian Country Club. And Zara. Nia's voice dropped to that sickeningly sweet tone she used when she was about to deliver a killing blow. I know things have been hard for you lately. I know you're probably feeling pretty worthless right about now. But maybe seeing how well some people can do for themselves will inspire you to finally get your life together. The line went dead. Zara stared at the phone in her hand, her reflection staring back from its dark surface. 28 years old, and her twin sister still had the power to make her feel like she was 12 again, standing in their mother's kitchen while Nia got praised for her straight A's and Zara got lectured about applying herself. She thought about the envelope hidden in her desk drawer. The one she hadn't opened yet because she already knew what it said. Another rejection. Another door slammed in her face. Another confirmation that maybe Nia was right, maybe she really was the failure twin. But as she stood there, something else flickered through her mind. A memory from 2 weeks ago. The coffee shop on 5th Street. The man with kind eyes who'd paid for her latte when her card got declined. The way he'd smiled when she'd tried to refuse his help. Everyone needs a little kindness sometimes, he'd said. I'm Marcus, by the way. She'd been too embarrassed to tell him her real name. Too ashamed to admit she was the kind of person whose debit card got declined buying a $4 coffee. So she'd mumbled something about being late and practically run out of there. But he'd left his business card on her table. Zara walked to her desk and pulled open the drawer. Past the rejection letters, past the overdue bills, past all the evidence of her spectacular failure. There, tucked behind everything else, was a simple white card. Marcus Rivera. CEO, Rivera Holdings. She'd Googled him later, of course. The search results had made her stomach drop. Forbes articles. Business magazine covers. Net worth estimates that made her head spin. The kind of man who probably forgot about random acts of kindness the moment he walked away. But something about the way he'd looked at her. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. So excited about Nia's big day. Can't wait to see both my girls there. Love you, sweetheart. Both my girls. As if they were equals. As if one of them wasn't currently living on ramen noodles and the other wasn't marrying a hedge fund manager in what Nia had described as the wedding of the century. Zara picked up Marcus's business card, turning it over in her fingers. What was the worst that could happen? He'd already seen her at her lowest point. He already knew she was the kind of person who couldn't afford coffee. But maybe that wasn't all she was. Hey, my friend, hope you're doing well. Drop a comment and let me know how you're feeling about this story so far and where you are watching from. Some stories are too close to my heart to share on YouTube. I send those, along with little life lessons and surprises, to my email circle. If you'd like to be part of it, you can join with the link in the description. She pulled out her phone and started typing before she could lose her nerve. Hi Marcus, this is Zara from the coffee shop. I know this might sound crazy, but I was wondering if you'd like to get dinner sometime. I promise I can actually pay for my own meal this time. Her finger hovered over the send button. This was insane. This was desperate. This was exactly the kind of thing that would give Nia ammunition for years. But as she stared at the message, she realized something that made her blood run cold. She wasn't texting Marcus because she wanted a date. She was texting him because she wanted revenge. And that realization should have stopped her. Should have made her delete the message and forget about Marcus Rivera and his kind eyes and his business empire. Instead, it made her press send. Because maybe it was time Nia learned that underestimating people was a dangerous game. Maybe it was time for the failure twin to show everyone exactly what she was capable of. The response came back in less than 5 minutes. I was hoping I'd hear from you. Tomorrow night. I know a place. Zara stared at the message, her heart pounding. She had no idea what she was doing. No idea what Marcus wanted from her, or what she was walking into. But for the first time in 3 months, she felt something other than defeat. She felt dangerous. The restaurant Marcus chose wasn't what Zara expected. She'd braced herself for some intimidating 5-star establishment where she'd feel completely out of place, but instead found herself walking into a cozy Italian place with checkered tablecloths and the smell of garlic bread filling the air. Marcus stood when he saw her, and she was struck again by how different he seemed from the polished CEO in those Forbes photos. Tonight he wore a simple navy sweater and jeans, his dark hair slightly mussed like he'd been running his hands through it. When he smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkled in a way that made her stomach flutter despite herself. You came, he said, and there was genuine relief in his voice. You sound surprised. Honestly, a little. Most people who meet me at coffee shops and find out what I do either want something from me or decide I'm too complicated to bother with. He pulled out her chair. You did neither. Zara settled into her seat, trying to ignore the way his fingers brushed her shoulder as he pushed in her chair. Maybe I just hadn't gotten to the wanting something part yet. The words came out more flirtatious than she'd intended, and she felt heat rise in her cheeks. But Marcus laughed, a rich sound that made something warm unfurl in her chest. Fair enough. What do you want, Zara? The question hung between them, loaded with more meaning than either of them was ready to acknowledge. Because the truth was, she didn't know anymore. She'd started this with thoughts of revenge, of showing up Nia, of proving something to everyone who'd ever counted her out. But sitting here, watching Marcus study the menu with the same careful attention he probably gave million-dollar deals, she felt those motivations shifting into something more complicated. Right now, the chicken parmesan. I haven't had a real meal in. She caught herself before admitting it had been weeks since she'd eaten anything that didn't come from a box or can. Rough few months. His voice was gentle, without a trace of pity. You could say that. She took a sip of water, buying time. Lost my job. Lost my apartment lease. Lost my boyfriend when he decided dating someone between opportunities wasn't good for his image. His loss. The certainty in Marcus's voice made her look up sharply. He was watching her with an intensity that made her feel exposed, like he could see straight through all her carefully constructed defenses. You don't even know me. I know enough. He leaned forward slightly. I know you have too much pride to let a stranger buy you coffee without trying to refuse. I know you're brave enough to text someone completely out of your league. And I know you're sitting here having dinner with me instead of wallowing at home, which means you're a fighter. Out of my league. She raised an eyebrow. That's presumptuous. Is it wrong? The question was a challenge, and something in his tone made her spine straighten. This was the moment where she could play it safe, deflect with humor, keep things light and meaningless. Or she could lean into whatever this was becoming. Maybe you're out of mine, she said quietly. The smile that spread across Marcus's face was devastating. Now that, he said, is something I'd like to find out. They talked through 3 courses and 2 bottles of wine. Marcus told her about growing up in Queens, the son of a single mother who cleaned office buildings to put him through school. How he'd built his first company in his garage and sold it for enough money to start the next one. How success had brought him everything he thought he wanted and left him feeling more isolated than ever. Money changes how people see you, he said, swirling the wine in his glass. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. After a while, you start to wonder if anyone would care about you if you lost it all tomorrow. Zara felt a pang of guilt twist in her stomach. Wasn't that exactly what she was doing? Using him for her own agenda? But then he reached across the table and touched her hand, and the guilt was overwhelmed by something else entirely. What about you? He asked. What did you want to be when you grew up? A writer. The answer came out before she could stop it. I wanted to write novels. Change the world one story at a time. She laughed, but it came out bitter. Naive, right? Why naive? Because writers don't make money. Because it's not practical. Because my sister was right when she said I was living in a fantasy world. Marcus's hand tightened on hers. Your sister said that. My twin sister. Nia. She's always been the practical one. The successful one. The one who makes smart choices and dates appropriate men and has her life figured out. Zara pulled her hand away, suddenly needing the distance. She's getting married next month to this investment banker. Big fancy wedding at the country club. The whole thing. And you're going. Wouldn't miss it. The words came out sharper than she intended. She made sure to invite me. Told me I could be her charity case for the day. Marcus went very still. She said that to you. It's fine. It's just how we are. How we've always been. But even as she said it, Zara realized it wasn't fine. It had never been fine. She'd just gotten so used to being the disappointment that she'd stopped questioning whether she deserved to be treated that way. No, Marcus said quietly. It's not fine. And it's not how sisters should be. Something in his voice made her look up. There was an anger there, carefully controlled but unmistakable. Like he was personally offended on her behalf. You don't have siblings, she said. It wasn't a question. No. But I know what it's like to have people in your life who make you feel small. Who convince you that their success somehow diminishes your worth. He leaned forward again. Zara, listen to me. You are not a charity case. You are not a failure. You are not less than anyone, including your sister. The words hit her like a physical force. When was the last time someone had spoken to her like that? When was the last time someone had looked at her and seen potential instead of disappointment? You barely know me, she whispered. Then let me know you better. The drive back to her apartment was quiet, both of them lost in their own thoughts. When Marcus pulled up outside her building, a converted warehouse in a neighborhood that was trying very hard to be trendy but mostly just looked tired, he turned off the engine. I had a good time tonight, he said. So did I. She hesitated, her hand on the door handle. Marcus, I should tell you something. When I texted you, my motives weren't entirely pure. He turned to face her fully. What do you mean? I was angry. At Nia, at my life, at everything. And I thought maybe. She took a shaky breath. I thought maybe if I showed up to her wedding with someone successful, someone impressive, it would prove something. To her, to everyone. The silence stretched between them, and Zara felt her heart sink. Of course he would be disgusted by her honesty. Of course this would be the end of whatever had been building between them. So you wanted to use me, he said finally. Yes. The word came out as barely a whisper. I'm sorry. I know that's awful. I know you probably never want to see me again. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, and Zara prepared herself for him to tell her to get out of his car and never contact him again. Instead, he started laughing. What's so funny? She asked, confused and a little hurt. Zara, do you have any idea how refreshing it is to meet someone who's honest about wanting to use me? He shook his head, still chuckling. Most people pretend they care about me for me, then slowly reveal their real agenda over weeks or months. You just laid it all out on the table. So you're not angry. I'm not angry. He reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the gesture so gentle it made her breath catch. But I have a question for you. Okay. What if I said yes? What if I said I'd go to your sister's wedding with you, play the part of the impressive boyfriend, help you get your revenge? His thumb traced along her jawline. What would you give me in return? The question sent heat spiraling through her body. There was something in his voice, something in the way he was looking at her, that made her pulse race. What do you want? She asked. A real chance, he said simply. Not a performance for your sister. Not a business arrangement. A real chance to see what this could be between us. Zara stared at him, her heart pounding. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. She was supposed to use him and walk away. She wasn't supposed to feel this connection, this pull towards someone who should have been completely wrong for her. Marcus. Think about it, he said, leaning back. You don't have to decide tonight. But Zara, whatever you decide it for the right reasons. Not because you want to hurt your sister. Not because you want to prove something to people who don't matter. Decide because of what you want for yourself. He got out of the car and walked around to open her door, ever the gentleman. As she stepped onto the sidewalk, he caught her hand. One more thing, he said. That dream of being a writer, it's not naive. It's not impractical. And it's not too late. He kissed her hand, a gesture that should have felt old-fashioned but instead felt like a promise, and got back in his car. Zara stood on the sidewalk watching his taillights disappear, her hand still tingling where his lips had touched her skin. She felt like she was standing at a crossroads, with two very different paths stretching out before her. One path led to revenge, to showing up Nia, to proving that she wasn't the failure everyone thought she was. It was the path she'd started on, the one that felt safe because it was familiar. The other path led into unknown territory. It led toward something real with Marcus, something that scared her because it mattered. It led toward believing in herself not because she could land a billionaire, but because she was worth believing in. As she climbed the 3 flights of stairs to her apartment, Zara's phone buzzed with a text from Nia. Just wanted to make sure you're still planning to come to the wedding. I know it might be hard for you to see how well some people are doing, but I think it will be good for you. Maybe it will motivate you to finally make something of yourself. Zara stared at the message, feeling that familiar burn of humiliation and anger. But underneath it, something else was growing. Something that felt like determination. She thought about Marcus's words. Decide for the right reasons. Decide because of what you want for yourself. What did she want for herself? She wanted to stop feeling small. She wanted to stop letting other people define her worth. She wanted to believe that she was capable of more than just surviving. And maybe, just maybe, she wanted to see where things could go with a man who looked at her like she was already enough. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Marcus. Sweet dreams, Zara. And remember, you're not a charity case. You're a force of nature who just hasn't realized her own power yet. Zara smiled, the first genuine smile she'd felt in months. Tomorrow she would have to figure out what she was going to do about the wedding, about Marcus, about the mess her life had become. But tonight, for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe she was worth fighting for. She just had no idea that 3 blocks away, in a coffee shop that stayed open late, her sister Nia was sitting across from a private investigator, sliding a check across the table. I want to know everything about my sister, Nia was saying. Who she's seeing, where she's been, what she's up to. Something's different about her, and I need to know what it is before my wedding. The investigator pocketed the check. How deep do you want me to dig? Nia's smile was sharp as glass. As deep as it takes. Zara's always been jealous of me, and I have a feeling she's planning something. I want to be ready for whatever pathetic attempt at sabotage she's cooking up. If she had known that her pathetic sister was currently being pursued by one of the most powerful men in the city, Nia might have chosen her words more carefully. But she didn't know. Not yet. The coffee shop where it all began looked different in the morning light. Less romantic, more real. Zara sat in the same corner booth where Marcus had first approached her, nursing a latte she could actually afford this time, and tried to make sense of the last week. 7 days since their dinner. 7 days of text messages that made her smile despite herself. 7 days of slowly letting herself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be real. Her laptop was open in front of her, a blank document staring back at her. For the first time in months, she'd felt the urge to write. Not marketing copy or cover letters, but actual stories. The kind she used to dream about telling. Mind if I join you? She looked up to find Marcus standing beside her table, 2 coffee cups in his hands and that smile that made her stomach flip. Don't you have a company to run? She asked, but she was already closing her laptop to make room for him. I do. But I also have a very understanding assistant who knows how to reschedule meetings. He slid into the seat across from her, pushing one of the cups toward her. Vanilla latte, extra shot. I asked the barista what you usually order. You asked the barista about me. I may have mentioned that I was trying to impress a beautiful woman who comes here sometimes. His eyes crinkled at the corners. She was very helpful. Apparently you tip well even when you can barely afford the coffee. Zara felt heat rise in her cheeks. You've been investigating me. I've been paying attention to you. There's a difference. Marcus leaned forward, his expression growing serious. Zara, I've been thinking about what you said the other night. About your sister's wedding. Her stomach clenched. Here it comes, she thought. The part where he realizes what he's gotten himself into and backs away gracefully. I want to go with you, he said. What? I want to go to your sister's wedding. As your date. Your real date, not some performance or business arrangement. He reached across the table and took her hand. I want to be there because you matter to me, and because no one should have to face their family's judgment alone. Zara stared at him, her heart pounding. Marcus, you don't understand. This isn't just some casual family gathering. This is going to be 300 people, all of them successful and connected and... She gestured helplessly. They're going to want to know everything about you. About us. About how we met. So we'll tell them the truth. The truth. She laughed, but it came out shaky. That you met me when my card got declined buying coffee. That I'm unemployed and living in a studio apartment that's probably smaller than your closet. The truth, Marcus said firmly, is that I met an incredible woman who was going through a rough patch but refused to let it break her spirit. The truth is that you're brilliant and funny and brave, and anyone who can't see that isn't worth impressing. Before Zara could respond, her phone rang. Nia's name flashed on the screen, and she felt her chest tighten with familiar anxiety. I should take this, she said apologetically. Zara. Nia's voice was bright and sharp, like broken glass catching sunlight. I'm so glad I caught you. I have the most amazing news. What's that? I just got off the phone with Mom, and she told me the most interesting thing. Apparently Mrs. Chen from down the street saw you having dinner at Rossini's last week. With a man. Nia's voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. Please tell me you're not paying for male companionship now. I know things have been hard, but there are limits to how far you should let yourself fall. The words hit Zara like a slap. Across the table, Marcus's expression darkened as he caught enough of the conversation to understand what was happening. It wasn't like that, Nia. Oh good. So you are seeing someone. Anyone I know? Please tell me he has a job at least. I'd hate for you to show up to my wedding with some unemployed loser. It would reflect so poorly on the family. Zara closed her eyes, feeling the familiar burn of humiliation. But then she felt Marcus's hand squeeze hers, grounding her, reminding her that she wasn't alone in this. Actually, she said, her voice steadier than she felt, I think you'll be impressed. His name is Marcus Rivera. The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long that Zara wondered if the call had dropped. Rivera. Nia's voice was different now, sharper. As in Rivera Holdings. You know it. Zara. Nia's voice was deadly quiet. Are you telling me you're dating Marcus Rivera? The Marcus Rivera. I'm telling you I'm bringing a date to your wedding. This isn't funny, Zara. Marcus Rivera is worth billions. He's on the Forbes list. He doesn't date unemployed marketing assistants from Queens. The casual cruelty in her sister's voice made Zara's vision blur with anger. But before she could respond, Marcus was taking the phone from her hand. Hello, Nia, he said, his voice perfectly polite and absolutely terrifying. This is Marcus Rivera. I believe we haven't been properly introduced. Zara could hear Nia's sharp intake of breath even from across the table. Mr. Rivera, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. That your sister was telling the truth? Yes, I gathered that. Marcus's tone could have frozen fire. I'm looking forward to meeting you at your wedding. Zara speaks of you often. She does. Oh yes. She's told me all about your relationship. How supportive you've been during her difficult time. How you've always believed in her potential. Each word was delivered with surgical precision. I can see where she gets her strength from. Zara stared at Marcus in amazement. He was giving Nia an out, a chance to save face, while simultaneously making it clear that he knew exactly what kind of person she was. Of course, Nia said quickly. Zara and I have always been close. Twins, you know. We support each other through everything. How wonderful. Well, I should let you get back to your wedding preparations. I'm sure you have a lot to do. Marcus's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. We'll see you on the 15th. He ended the call and handed the phone back to Zara, who was staring at him with a mixture of awe and terror. You just declared war on my sister, she said. No, Marcus said calmly. I just let her know that you're not fighting alone anymore. Zara felt something crack open in her chest, something that had been locked away for so long she'd forgotten it was there. It felt like hope. It felt like possibility. It felt like someone finally seeing her as worth defending. Marcus, she whispered. Yeah. I think I'm falling for you. The words hung between them, raw and honest and terrifying. Marcus reached across the table and cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away tears she didn't realize she'd been crying. Good, he said softly. Because I'm already gone. He kissed her then, right there in the coffee shop where they'd met, and Zara felt the last of her defenses crumble. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This wasn't about proving anything to Nia or anyone else. This was about choosing herself. About choosing love. About choosing to believe that she deserved good things. When they broke apart, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. There's something I need to tell you, he said. What? I've been thinking about what you said. About wanting to be a writer. He pulled back to look at her. I have a proposition for you. I'm listening. Rivera Holdings has been looking for someone to head up our new content division. Someone who understands storytelling, who can help us connect with people on a deeper level. His eyes were intense, serious. The salary is $200,000 a year, plus benefits and equity. But more importantly, it would give you a platform to tell the stories you want to tell. Zara's mouth fell open. Marcus, you can't just offer me a job because we're dating. I'm not offering you a job because we're dating. I'm offering you a job because you're brilliant and talented and exactly what we need. He leaned back, giving her space to process. But I understand if you need to think about it. If you're worried about how it would look. It's not that. Zara's mind was racing. It's just, this is all happening so fast. A week ago I was nobody. Now I'm dating a billionaire and being offered my dream job. It feels too good to be true. Maybe, Marcus said gently. You've just been settling for less than you deserve for so long that getting what you're worth feels impossible. Before Zara could respond, her phone buzzed with a text. Then another. All from Nia. OMG, I can't believe you're dating Marcus Rivera. Why didn't you tell me sooner? We need to talk about your dress for the wedding. Something tells me we need to upgrade your look. Actually, maybe we should move you to the head table. You know, since you're bringing such an important guest. Zara showed the messages to Marcus, who read them with an expression of disgust. She's already trying to use you, he said. Use us. I know. Zara felt a familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. This is what she does. She finds a way to make everything about her, to turn every situation to her advantage. So what do you want to do? It was such a simple question, but it hit Zara like a revelation. What did she want to do? Not what would make Nia happy, not what would avoid conflict, not what was expected of her. What did she want? I want to go to that wedding, she said slowly. Not to prove anything to her. Not to get revenge. But because I want to show up as myself, with someone who cares about me, and let that be enough. Marcus smiled, the kind of smile that made her believe in fairy tales. Then that's what we'll do. As they left the coffee shop together, Zara felt like she was walking into a completely different life. The same streets, the same buildings, but everything looked brighter somehow. More possible. She had no idea that 2 blocks away, Nia was sitting in her car, frantically Googling everything she could find about Marcus Rivera. Her wedding planner was on speakerphone, already making calls to upgrade the floral arrangements and add an extra cost to the menu. We need to make sure everything is perfect, Nia was saying. Marcus Rivera is going to be there. Do you understand what this means for my social standing? For David's business connections? Of course, Ms. Chen. We'll make sure everything is absolutely flawless. But as Nia scrolled through article after article about Marcus's business empire, his philanthropic work, his carefully guarded private life, a cold realization was settling in her stomach. Her sister, her failure of a sister, had somehow landed the most eligible bachelor in the city. And Nia had no idea how. Which meant she had no idea how to control it. For the first time in her life, Nia Chen felt like she was losing a game she didn't even know she was playing. And that was absolutely unacceptable. She picked up her phone and dialed a number she'd hoped never to use. It's me, she said when the private investigator answered. I need you to dig deeper. Much deeper. I don't care what it costs. What exactly are you looking for? Nia stared at a photo of Marcus on her phone screen, handsome, powerful, completely out of her sister's league. I'm looking for the catch, she said. Because there's always a catch. And I'm going to find it before my wedding day. The game had just begun. And Nia Chen had never lost a game in her life. The boutique on Madison Avenue was the kind of place Zara had only ever walked past, never daring to go inside. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over racks of designer gowns, each one probably worth more than she used to make in a month. The sales associate who greeted them looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine herself. Mr. Rivera, the woman said with the kind of smile reserved for very important clients. So wonderful to see you again. And this must be Zara. Zara shot Marcus a look. Again. I may have called ahead, he admitted, looking slightly sheepish. I wanted to make sure they had some options ready for you. Marcus, I can't afford anything in here. You're not paying. He took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. Consider it an early birthday present. My birthday isn't for 6 months. Then consider it a late birthday present from last year. The sales associate, whose name tag read Vivienne, led them to a private fitting room where several gowns were already waiting. Each one was more stunning than the last, silk and satin and delicate beadwork that caught the light like captured stars. "I'll leave you to try these on," Vivian said. "Mr. Rivera, there's champagne waiting in the lounge if you'd like to make yourself comfortable." When they were alone, Zara turned to Marcus with her hands on her hips. "This is too much," she said. "It's a dress, Zara. It's not just a dress and you know it." She gestured at the gowns surrounding them. This is changing who I am. Making me into someone I'm not." Marcus stepped closer, his expression serious. "Who do you think you are?" "I'm." She faltered, realizing she didn't have a good answer. "I'm not the kind of person who wears $1,000 dresses." "Why not?" "Because I'm not. I don't." She sank onto the velvet bench in the corner of the fitting room. "Because people like me don't get to have nice things." Marcus knelt in front of her, taking her hands in his. "Zara, listen to me. You are not people like you. You are you. Unique, brilliant, deserving of every good thing this world has to offer." His voice was gentle but firm. "And if wearing a beautiful dress makes you feel beautiful, then that's reason enough. What if I don't know how to be the kind of person who belongs in your world? Then we'll figure it out together." He squeezed her hands. "But Zara, you already belong. You belonged the moment you walked into that coffee shop and refused to let your circumstances define your worth." 20 minutes later, Zara stood in front of the three-way mirror wearing a midnight blue gown that seemed to have been designed specifically for her body. The silk hugged her curves in all the right places, and the subtle beadwork along the neckline caught the light every time she moved. "Oh my," Vivian breathed. "You look absolutely stunning." Zara barely recognized herself. The woman in the mirror looked confident, elegant, powerful. She looked like someone who belonged at country club weddings and charity galas. She looked like someone who could stand next to Marcus Rivera and not seem out of place. "What do you think?" Marcus's voice came from behind her, and she turned to find him standing in the doorway, his expression unreadable. "I think," she said slowly, "I look like someone pretending to be me." "No," he said, stepping into the room. "You look like yourself. The self you've been hiding because other people convinced you she wasn't worth showing." He moved to stand behind her, his hands resting lightly on her shoulders as they both looked at their reflection. They looked good together, she realized. Like they belonged together. "There's something else," Marcus said quietly. "Something I need to tell you about the wedding." Zara's stomach clenched. "What?" "I did some research on your sister's fiancé, David Morrison." Marcus's expression was carefully neutral. "He works for Hartwell and Associates." "Okay." Zara didn't understand why that mattered. "Hartwell and Associates handles some of Rivera Holdings' investment portfolio. David and I have met several times over the past year." Marcus met her eyes in the mirror. "He's going to recognize me." The implications hit Zara like a physical blow. "So this whole thing, everyone's going to know that you knew who I was connected to before we started dating." "No, that's not." Marcus turned her to face him. "Zara, I had no idea David was your sister's fiancé until yesterday. I swear to you, that had nothing to do with why I approached you. But it's going to look like it did." Zara felt panic rising in her chest. "Nia's going to think I somehow orchestrated this whole thing. She's going to think I used some connection to get to you." "Does it matter what she thinks?" "Yes." The word came out sharper than she intended. "Yes, it matters. Because she already thinks I'm pathetic and desperate, and now she's going to think I'm pathetic and desperate and manipulative." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, studying her face. "Is that really what you're worried about? Or are you worried that maybe she's right?" The question hit too close to home. Because wasn't that exactly what she'd done? Hadn't she texted Marcus specifically because she wanted to use him to get back at Nia? "I don't know," she whispered. "Zara." Marcus cupped her face in his hands. "Look at me. What we have is real. What I feel for you is real. The fact that there's some tangential business connection between me and your sister's fiancé doesn't change any of that. Doesn't it?" She pulled away from him, suddenly feeling trapped in the beautiful dress. "How do I know you're not just, I don't know, amusing yourself with the poor twin? How do I know this isn't some kind of game to you?" The hurt that flashed across Marcus's face was so genuine it made her chest ache. "Because," he said quietly, "I've never introduced a woman to my mother before. And I called her this morning to tell her about you." Zara stared at him. "You what?" "I told her I'd met someone special. Someone I wanted her to meet." His smile was soft, vulnerable. "She's flying in from Florida next week. She wants to take us both to dinner. The panic in Zara's chest transformed into something else entirely. Something that felt like falling and flying at the same time. Marcus. I know it's fast. I know this is all happening quickly. But Zara, I haven't felt this way about anyone in, maybe ever. He stepped closer again. I'm not playing games with you. I'm falling in love with you. The words hung between them, raw and honest and terrifying. Zara felt tears prick at her eyes, but before she could respond, her phone rang. Nia's name flashed on the screen, and Zara felt the moment shatter like glass. I should. She gestured helplessly at the phone. Take it, Marcus said. I'll be right outside. Zara answered the call with shaking hands. Zara. Nia's voice was bright and sharp. I've been thinking about the wedding, and I have some concerns. What kind of concerns? Well, it's just that Marcus Rivera is such an important man. I'm worried that having him there might overshadow David and me on our special day. Nia's tone was carefully modulated, but Zara could hear the steel underneath. Maybe it would be better if you came alone. You know, to keep the focus where it should be. Zara felt something cold settle in her stomach. You're uninviting my date. I'm not uninviting him, exactly. I'm just suggesting that maybe this isn't the right venue for your relationship debut. I mean, what if things don't work out between you two? It would be so embarrassing to have all those photos floating around. Nia, what are you really saying? There was a pause, and when Nia spoke again, her voice had dropped its pretense of sweetness. I'm saying that I know you, Zara. I know how desperate you've been, how pathetic your life has become. And I know there's no way in hell that Marcus Rivera is genuinely interested in you. Her words were like ice picks, precise and devastating. So whatever game you're playing, whatever angle you're working, I want you to stop it before you embarrass our entire family. Zara felt the familiar burn of humiliation, but underneath it, something else was growing. Something that felt like rage. And if I don't, then I'll make sure everyone at that wedding knows exactly what kind of person you really are. Including Marcus. Nia's voice was silk over steel. I've been doing some research, Zara. About you, about your finances, about your little unemployment situation. Did you know that Marcus Rivera sits on the board of 3 different charities? He's very passionate about helping people in need. The implication hit Zara like a slap. You think he's with me out of pity. I think he's a good man who saw someone in trouble and wanted to help. But I don't think he signed up to be your meal ticket. Nia's laugh was crystalline and cruel. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to come to my wedding alone. You're going to smile and be gracious, and you're going to stop this ridiculous charade before it goes any further. And if I don't, then I'll tell him the truth about you. About how you've been lying to him, using him, manipulating him from the very beginning. About how you texted him specifically because you wanted to use him to get back at me. Nia's voice dropped to a whisper. Because I know that's exactly what you did, isn't it, Zara? I know you that well. The line went dead, and Zara stood there in her beautiful dress, feeling like the world was crumbling around her. Because Nia was right. That was exactly what she'd done. And now she had to figure out how to tell Marcus the truth before her sister destroyed everything. Outside the fitting room, Marcus was pacing, his phone pressed to his ear. I don't care what it costs, he was saying. I want to know everything about Nia Chen. Her finances, her business dealings, her personal life. Everything. Sir, may I ask why? Marcus's expression was granite. Because she's threatening someone I care about. And I don't let people threaten what's mine. He ended the call just as Zara emerged from the fitting room, back in her regular clothes, her face pale. Everything okay? He asked. Zara looked at him, this incredible man who'd somehow seen something worth loving in her, and felt her heart break. Marcus, she said quietly, we need to talk. The game was about to get much more dangerous, and neither of them was prepared for what was coming next. The penthouse overlooked Central Park, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view that belonged in magazines. Zara stood at the glass, watching the city lights blur through her tears, while Marcus poured himself a scotch with hands that weren't quite steady. So let me make sure I understand this, he said, his voice carefully controlled. You texted me because you wanted revenge on your sister. You planned to use me to make her jealous. And you've been lying to me about your motivations from the beginning. Yes. The word came out as barely a whisper. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, the silence stretching between them like a chasm. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Colder. Is any of it real, Zara? Anything you've told me, anything you've felt. She turned from the window, and the look on his face nearly brought her to her knees. He looked betrayed, devastated, like she'd taken something precious and shattered it deliberately. All of it, she said desperately. Marcus, everything I've felt for you is real. The way you make me feel, the way you see me, the way you make me believe I'm worth something, that's all real. But the reason you approached me wasn't. No, she couldn't lie to him anymore. The reason I texted you was because I was angry and hurt and I wanted to prove something to Nia. But Marcus, the moment I saw you again, the moment we started talking. What? You forgot about your plan. You suddenly developed genuine feelings. His laugh was bitter. How convenient. It wasn't convenient. It was terrifying. Zara stepped toward him, but he moved away, putting the kitchen island between them. Do you think this is easy for me? Do you think I wanted to fall for someone I was supposed to be using? I don't know what to think anymore. Marcus set down his glass with more force than necessary. I told you about my trust issues, Zara. I told you how everyone in my life has an agenda, how everyone wants something from me. And you sat there and nodded sympathetically while planning to do exactly the same thing. It's not the same thing. Isn't it? His eyes were hard, unfamiliar. You saw an opportunity and you took it. You identified what I wanted to hear and you said it. You made me believe that you were different, that you cared about me for me, while the whole time you were just another person trying to use my money and status for your own gain. That's not. Zara felt tears streaming down her face. Marcus, please. Yes, I approached you for the wrong reasons. But everything that happened after that, everything between us, that's real. How am I supposed to believe that? How am I supposed to trust anything you say when you've been lying to me from the beginning? The question hung between them, and Zara realized she didn't have a good answer. Because he was right. She had been lying. She had been using him, at least initially. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know how to prove it to you. Marcus ran his hands through his hair, looking suddenly exhausted. Do you have any idea what this feels like? I thought I'd finally found someone who saw past all the money and the power. Someone who wanted me, not what I could give them. I do want you. Just you. But that's not how it started, is it? He looked at her with something that might have been pity. And now I'll never know if what you feel for me is real or if it's just gratitude. Desperation. A way to escape your problems. The words hit her like physical blows. Because wasn't there some truth to them? Hadn't she been desperate? Hadn't his money and power been part of what made him attractive? I love you, she said, the words torn from somewhere deep in her chest. Marcus closed his eyes like she'd hurt him. Do you? Or do you love what I represent? Security, status, a way out of the life you hate. I love you, she repeated, but even to her own ears, the words sounded hollow now, tainted by doubt. I need some time, Marcus said quietly. I need to think about this. Marcus, please. I think you should go. The words were quiet, but they hit her like a shout. Zara stared at him, this man who'd made her believe in fairy tales, who'd looked at her like she was worth something, who'd defended her against her sister's cruelty. Just like that, she asked. You're giving up on us. I'm not giving up on anything. I'm trying to figure out what this even means when it's built on a lie. Zara wanted to argue, wanted to fight, wanted to make him understand. But looking at his face, she realized there was nothing she could say that would fix this. The damage was done. For what it's worth, she said as she gathered her purse, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I lied. And I'm sorry that my sister was right about me. She was almost to the door when Marcus spoke again. Zara. She turned, hope flaring in her chest. The job offer, he said. That was real. It had nothing to do with us, nothing to do with this. If you want it, it's still yours. The hope died as quickly as it had come. Even now, even after everything, he was trying to take care of her. And somehow that made it worse. I can't, she said. You know I can't. She left before he could respond, before she could see the relief or disappointment or indifference on his face. The elevator ride down felt like falling, and by the time she reached the lobby, she was sobbing. The doorman, a kind-faced man in his 60s, offered her a tissue without comment. She took it gratefully, trying to pull herself together enough to make it home. Rough night, he asked gently. You could say that. Zara wiped her eyes, knowing she probably looked like a disaster. I messed up something really good. Most good things can be fixed, the doorman said. If both people want to fix them. What if only one person wants to? Then it wasn't as good as you thought it was. The words followed her all the way home, echoing in her head as she climbed the stairs to her tiny apartment. She'd lost him. She'd lost the best thing that had ever happened to her because she'd been too damaged, too angry, too focused on revenge to recognize love when it found her. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nia. Heard you and Marcus had a fight. Don't worry, sis. I'm sure you'll find someone more appropriate soon. See you at the wedding. 2 hearts. Zara stared at the message, feeling something cold and hard settle in her chest. Nia knew. Somehow, her sister knew exactly what had happened. Which meant this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 3 blocks away, in a 24-hour diner that had seen better decades, Nia Chen sat across from a man whose face belonged in shadows. The private investigator slid a manila folder across the sticky table. Everything you wanted to know about your sister's relationship, he said. And a few things you probably didn't. Nia opened the folder, her eyes scanning the contents. Photos of Zara and Marcus at dinner. Phone records showing when Zara had first contacted him. Financial records showing Marcus's recent purchases, including a very expensive dress from a Madison Avenue boutique. This is perfect, she murmured. But I need more. More what? I need leverage. Something that will make sure Zara stays away from Marcus permanently. Nia's smile was sharp as a blade. Because this little breakup, it's temporary. I know my sister. She'll try to win him back. What kind of leverage? Nia pulled out her phone and showed him a photo, Marcus and Zara kissing outside the coffee shop where they'd met. I want you to find out everything about Marcus Rivera's business dealings. His competitors, his enemies, his vulnerabilities. Her eyes glittered with malicious intent. Because if Zara won't stay away from him voluntarily, I'll make sure she has to. That's going to cost extra. I don't care what it costs. Nia closed the folder, her decision made. I've worked too hard to build my perfect life to let my pathetic sister ruin it now. The investigator pocketed the additional payment and disappeared into the night, leaving Nia alone with her plans. She had no idea that across town, Marcus Rivera was making plans of his own. Plans that would change everything. Because while Nia thought she was playing chess, Marcus had been playing a completely different game. And he was about to make a move that would shock everyone, including Zara. The war for Zara's future was about to begin, and the battlefield would be Nia's perfect wedding. Meanwhile, in her tiny apartment, Zara sat on her bed holding the business card Marcus had given her weeks ago. The one that had started everything. She thought about the doorman's words. Most good things can be fixed, if both people want to fix them. The question was, did Marcus want to fix this? And more importantly, did she deserve the chance to try? Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Ms. Chen. This is Detective Rodriguez with the NYPD. We need to speak with you about Marcus Rivera. Zara's blood turned to ice. What about him? Is he okay? He's fine. But we have reason to believe someone close to you may be planning to harm him. We need you to come in for questioning. The phone slipped from Zara's numb fingers. The game had just become deadly serious. And she was about to discover that her sister was capable of far more than just cruel words. The streets of Manhattan at 3 a.m. were a different world entirely. Zara ran through empty corridors of glass and steel, her breath forming clouds in the October air, her heart hammering against her ribs like a caged bird. Every shadow could hide danger, every sound could be pursuit. She'd left her car at the police station, no time to go back for it. The subway had stopped running. Taxis were nowhere to be found in this part of the city at this hour. So she ran, her heels clicking against concrete, echoing off the canyon walls of sleeping skyscrapers. Marcus's office building loomed ahead, 4 to 7 floors of dark glass punctuated by a few scattered lights. Security would never let her up. Not at this hour. Not looking like she'd been crying and running through the streets like a madwoman. But she had to try. The lobby was marble and chrome, designed to intimidate. The security guard behind the desk looked up as she burst through the revolving doors, his hand moving instinctively toward his radio. The building is closed to visitors. I need to see Marcus Rivera. It's an emergency. Zara tried to catch her breath, tried to look less like a crazy person. Please, it's a matter of life and death. The guard's expression didn't change. Mr. Rivera isn't seeing anyone tonight. If you'd like to leave a message. You don't understand. Zara stepped closer to the desk, desperation making her bold. Someone is trying to destroy him. Tonight. Right now. I have information that could save his company. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Call him. Zara slammed her hand on the marble counter. Call Marcus Rivera and tell him Zara Chen is here. Tell him his life is in danger. The guard reached for his phone, but not to call upstairs. To call for backup. Security to the main lobby, he said into his radio. We have a situation. Zara felt panic claw at her throat. She was running out of time. Every second she wasted here was another second Nia's plan moved forward. Please, she whispered. Please just call him. Step away from the desk. That's when she heard it. The soft ding of an elevator arriving. The doors slid open and Marcus stepped out, looking haggard and exhausted, his usually perfect hair disheveled, his shirt wrinkled like he'd been wearing it for days. Their eyes met across the lobby, and Zara saw a dozen emotions flicker across his face. Surprise, hurt, anger, and underneath it all, something that might have been relief. It's okay, Jim, Marcus said to the security guard. I'll handle this. Sir, she was acting erratically. It's fine. Marcus's voice carried the kind of authority that ended arguments. Thank you. The guard stepped back, but Zara could feel him watching as Marcus approached her. When he was close enough to touch, he stopped. What are you doing here, Zara? Your office was broken into tonight. I know. I've been dealing with it for the past 3 hours. His voice was carefully neutral. What I don't know is why you're here. Because it was Nia. The words tumbled out of her. My sister. She's the one who broke in. She's been planning this for weeks. Marcus's expression didn't change. That's a serious accusation. It's not an accusation, it's the truth. Zara stepped closer, and this time he didn't move away. Marcus, she's not just trying to hurt me anymore. She's trying to destroy you. She has documents, fake documents that make it look like you're involved in insider trading and money laundering. Fake documents. She told me herself. 20 minutes ago. The police were listening. Zara's words were coming faster now, desperation making her voice crack. She's being paid by someone who wants to stop your merger. She's going to release everything to the press tomorrow morning. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, studying her face. Why are you telling me this? The question hit her like a physical blow. Because I love you. Do you? Or is this just another manipulation? Another way to insert yourself into my life? Marcus, please. Tears were streaming down her face now. I know I lied to you. I know I hurt you. I know you have every reason not to trust me. But this isn't about us. This is about your life, your company, everything you've built. And you expect me to believe that your sister, who I've never met, somehow orchestrated an elaborate corporate espionage scheme just to get back at you for dating me. When he put it like that, it did sound insane. But Zara pressed on. She's not just getting back at me. She said someone is paying her. Someone who wants to see you brought down. Zara grabbed his arm, feeling the warmth of his skin through his shirt. Marcus, I know how this sounds. I know you don't trust me. But please, just check your files. See what's missing. See if it matches what she told me. Marcus looked down at her hand on his arm, and for a moment, his expression softened. Zara. Mr. Rivera. The security guard's voice cut through the moment. There are some federal agents here to see you. Zara's blood turned to ice. Through the glass doors of the lobby, she could see black SUVs pulling up to the curb. Men and women in dark suits were getting out, their faces grim and purposeful. It's too late, she whispered. She's already done it. The lobby doors opened and Detective Rodriguez walked in, followed by 3 people who had federal agent written all over them. Their eyes swept the lobby and landed on Marcus and Zara. Mr. Rivera, the lead agent said, flashing his badge. Agent Thompson, FBI. We need to speak with you about some irregularities in your recent business filings. Marcus's face went completely blank. I assume you have a warrant. We do. Agent Thompson held up a folded document. We also have reason to believe you may be in immediate physical danger. What kind of danger? Marcus asked. The kind that comes from crossing people who don't like to lose money. Agent Thompson's eyes flicked to Zara. Ms. Chen, we need you to come with us as well. Why? Zara asked. Because according to our investigation, you're the key to this entire operation, whether you know it or not. The next hour passed in a blur of conference rooms and questions and revelations that made Zara's head spin. The FBI had been investigating a network of corporate saboteurs for months. Companies that specialized in destroying their clients' competitors through elaborate schemes involving insider information, planted evidence, and media manipulation. Your sister, Agent Thompson explained, was recruited 3 months ago, right around the time you lost your job. That's not a coincidence, Zara said slowly. No, it's not. They needed someone with access to you. Someone who could monitor your activities, track your movements, gather intelligence on anyone you might be involved with. Agent Thompson slid a photograph across the table. This is David Morrison, your sister's fiancé. Zara stared at the photo. It was David, but not as she'd ever seen him. This wasn't the polished investment banker from Nia's Instagram posts. This was a man in handcuffs, being led away from what looked like a federal courthouse. David Morrison was arrested 6 months ago for securities fraud, Agent Thompson continued. He was facing 20 years in federal prison, until he agreed to cooperate with a certain organization in exchange for a reduced sentence. You're saying David is working with the people who hired Nia. We're saying David Morrison is one of the people who hired your sister. The wedding, the relationship, all of it was designed to get close to you. Agent Thompson's voice was grim. They've been planning this for months, Ms. Chen. Waiting for you to get involved with someone worth targeting. Zara felt sick. So everything. Nia's engagement, her perfect life, her success. All fake. All designed to make you feel inferior, to make you desperate enough to do something reckless. Agent Thompson looked at Marcus. Like approaching a billionaire you had no business approaching. Marcus had been silent through most of the briefing, but now he spoke up. So they were counting on Zara making contact with me. They were counting on her making contact with someone. You just happened to be the biggest fish in the pond. Agent Thompson pulled out another file. But here's where it gets interesting. The documents your sister claims to have. The ones that supposedly prove your involvement in illegal activities. What about them? They are not entirely fake. Agent Thompson's words fell like stones into still water. Some of the information in them is real. Information that could only have come from inside your organization. Marcus went very still. What are you saying? We're saying you have a mole, Mr. Rivera. Someone in your inner circle has been feeding information to this organization for months. Someone who knew about your merger plans, your financial strategies, your personal schedule. Agent Thompson leaned forward. Someone who knew you'd be at that coffee shop the day you met Ms. Chen. The implications hit Zara like a physical blow. You think someone set up our meeting? We think someone made sure you'd be in the right place at the right time to catch Mr. Rivera's attention. Someone who knew his patterns, his habits, his preferences. Zara looked at Marcus, seeing her own horror reflected in his eyes. Our entire relationship was manipulated from the beginning, Marcus finished quietly. By someone I trust. Agent Thompson nodded grimly. And that someone is planning to use the information they've gathered to destroy you both. Tonight. Before anyone could respond, Agent Thompson's phone rang. He answered it, his expression growing increasingly grave as he listened. We have a problem, he said, ending the call. The documents have been released. Every major news outlet in the country just received a package containing evidence of alleged financial crimes by Rivera Holdings. Marcus closed his eyes. How long do I have? The story breaks in 4 hours. By morning, your stock will be worthless and the SEC will have frozen all your assets pending investigation. Can you stop it? Not without proof that the documents are fabricated. And not without identifying the mole in your organization. Agent Thompson looked between Marcus and Zara. Which is why we need your help. What kind of help? Zara asked. We need you to go to your sister's wedding tomorrow. Both of you. We need you to act like nothing has happened, like you're still together, like you have no idea what's coming. Agent Thompson's voice was deadly serious. Because we believe the people behind this are going to be there. And we believe they are planning something much worse than just destroying Mr. Rivera's reputation. What do you mean? Marcus asked. We mean they are planning to kill you both. And make it look like a murder-suicide brought on by the stress of the scandal. The room fell silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant sound of traffic. So let me get this straight, Zara said slowly. You want us to walk into a trap. Surrounded by 300 people, any one of whom could be working with the people who want us dead. That's exactly what we want you to do. Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. And why would we agree to something so insane? Because it's the only way to catch them. And because if you don't, they'll just try again. And again. Until they succeed. Agent Thompson's voice was flat, matter-of-fact. These people don't give up, Mr. Rivera. They don't forgive. And they don't leave loose ends. Zara looked at Marcus, seeing the weight of the decision in his eyes. Everything they'd built together, everything they'd felt for each other, had been built on a foundation of lies and manipulation. But underneath all of that, something real had grown. Something worth fighting for. If we do this, Marcus said quietly, what guarantee do we have that we'll survive? None, Agent Thompson admitted. But you have our word that we'll do everything in our power to protect you. And if we don't do this, then you'll spend the rest of your lives looking over your shoulders. However long that might be. Marcus turned to Zara, his eyes searching her face. What do you think? Zara thought about everything that had brought them to this moment. The lies, the manipulation, the pain. But also the love, the connection, the way he'd made her believe she was worth something. I think, she said slowly, that I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of letting other people control my life. So you want to do this? I want to fight back. Zara reached for his hand, and this time he didn't pull away. I want to stop them from hurting anyone else the way they've hurt us. Marcus squeezed her hand, and for the first time since this nightmare began, Zara felt like they were on the same side again. Okay, Marcus said to Agent Thompson. We'll do it. But I have conditions. Name them. I want a full tactical team at that wedding. I want every exit covered, every guest screened, every possible threat neutralized before we walk in there. Done. And I want the truth. All of it. No more secrets, no more manipulation. If we're going to risk our lives for this, I want to know exactly what we're walking into. Agent Thompson nodded. Fair enough. But Mr. Rivera? Ms. Chen, you need to understand something. Once you walk into that wedding tomorrow, there's no going back. Whatever happens, happens. And there's a very real chance that one or both of you won't walk back out. Zara felt Marcus's hand tighten on hers. We understand, she said. But as they left the FBI building in the gray light of dawn, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking toward their own execution. And that somewhere in the city, Nia was watching and waiting and smiling. Because the game was almost over. And she was about to win. The wedding was in 12 hours. And everything would be decided by then. One way or another. The safe house was a nondescript apartment in Queens, the kind of place that disappeared into the urban landscape like camouflage. Zara sat on the edge of a government-issued bed, staring at the wedding invitation that had started everything. The elegant script seemed to mock her now. Nia Chen and David Morrison request the pleasure of your company. Marcus paced by the window, his phone pressed to his ear as he spoke in rapid, clipped sentences to his legal team. Even facing potential ruin, he moved with the controlled precision of a man used to solving impossible problems. No, don't release a statement yet, he was saying. Not until we know exactly what we're dealing with. Agent Thompson sat at a folding table covered with surveillance photos, building schematics, and guest lists. The wedding had transformed from a social event into a tactical operation, and every detail mattered. The venue has been secured, he said as Marcus ended his call. We have agents posing as catering staff, photographers, even a few wedding guests. But there are still too many variables. Such as? Marcus asked. 300 guests, any one of whom could be compromised. Multiple entry and exit points. A kitchen full of knives and potential weapons. And a bride who's proven she's willing to do anything to get what she wants. Zara looked up from the invitation. You think Nia will try to kill us herself? I think your sister is desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. Agent Thompson pulled out a photograph of the country club. The Meridian has been hosting high-profile events for 50 years. They have excellent security, but it's designed to keep crashes out, not to prevent violence from invited guests. What about David? Marcus asked. If he's working with these people, he'll be there too. David Morrison is our wild card. He's facing federal charges, but he's also in love with your sister. Or at least, he's convinced himself he is. Agent Thompson's expression was grim. Love makes people unpredictable. It makes them take risks they wouldn't normally take. Zara felt a bitter laugh escape her. Tell me about it. Marcus stopped pacing and looked at her. Zara. No, it's true. She stood up, suddenly unable to sit still. Look where love got us. Look where trusting someone, caring about someone, believing in something good got us. You don't mean that. Don't I? Zara turned to face him fully. Marcus, our entire relationship was built on lies. My lies, their manipulation, everyone's agenda except our own feelings. How do we even know what's real anymore? The question hung between them like a challenge. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes searching her face. I know what's real, he said finally. What? The way you looked when you told me about your dreams. The way you laughed when I told you about my mother's terrible cooking. The way you cried when you thought you'd lost me. He stepped closer. The way you ran through the streets at 3 in the morning to warn me about danger, even though you thought I hated you. Zara felt tears prick at her eyes. Marcus. They can manipulate circumstances, Zara. They can create opportunities and engineer meetings and plant information. But they can't manufacture what I feel when I look at you. His voice was soft, certain. They can't fake the way my heart stops when you smile. Before Zara could respond, Agent Thompson's radio crackled to life. Thompson here. Sir, we have movement at the Morrison residence. Multiple vehicles. Looks like they are preparing for something big. Agent Thompson grabbed his earpiece. What kind of vehicles? Black SUVs, government plates. But sir, they are not ours. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. How many? Agent Thompson asked. 6 vehicles, approximately 24 personnel. They are armed and they are moving with purpose. Marcus and Zara exchanged glances. What does that mean? Zara asked. It means the people behind this have resources we didn't know about. It means they have government connections. Agent Thompson was already moving, gathering files and equipment. And it means they are not planning to wait for the wedding. They are coming for us now. Marcus asked. They are coming for someone. The question is who? Agent Thompson's radio crackled again. Sir, we have another problem. The Morrison residence is empty. Looks like they cleared out in a hurry. How long ago? Hard to say. Maybe an hour, maybe 2. Agent Thompson cursed under his breath. They are in the wind. Which means they could be anywhere, Marcus finished. Including here. As if summoned by his words, the lights in the apartment went out. Emergency lighting kicked in a second later, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Agent Thompson had his weapon drawn before the backup power fully engaged. Stay behind me, he ordered. And stay quiet. They moved through the apartment like ghosts, every shadow a potential threat, every sound a possible death sentence. Agent Thompson led them toward the back exit, his gun sweeping left and right as they moved. They were almost to the door when Zara's phone rang. The sound was deafening in the silence, and Agent Thompson spun around with murder in his eyes. But it was too late. If anyone was out there, they knew exactly where to find them now. Zara looked at the screen. Nia. Answer it, Agent Thompson whispered. Put it on speaker. Zara's hands shook as she accepted the call. Hello, sister. Nia's voice was different now. Colder. More focused. I hope you're enjoying your last few hours of freedom. Where are you, Nia? Close. Very close. There was amusement in Nia's voice. Did you really think you could hide from me? Did you really think the FBI could protect you? Agent Thompson was frantically signaling to someone, probably calling for backup. What do you want? Zara asked. I want you to understand something. This was never about Marcus's money or his company or even his merger. This was about you. Nia's voice turned vicious. This was about making you pay for every slight, every moment of happiness, every second you dared to think you were worth something. Nia, please. You destroyed my childhood, Zara. Every achievement I had, every success I earned, was overshadowed by people asking about my poor twin sister. Every time I accomplished something, someone would ask why I couldn't help you do better. Zara felt like she'd been slapped. That's not. I never asked for that. You didn't have to ask. You just had to exist. You just had to be there, being pathetic and needy and making me look bad by comparison. Nia's laugh was like breaking glass. But now you're going to disappear. And I'm going to be the grieving sister who tried so hard to save you from your own poor choices. The FBI knows everything, Marcus said, speaking for the first time. They know about David, about the fake documents, about the people paying you. Do they? Are you sure about that? Nia's voice was smug. Because I have some very interesting information about Agent Thompson. About his gambling debts, his financial problems, his willingness to look the other way for the right price. Agent Thompson's face went white. That's right, Nia continued. Your protector has been working for us all along. Every move you've made, every plan you've hatched, we've known about it from the beginning. Zara looked at Agent Thompson, seeing the truth in his eyes. The guilt, the shame, the desperate calculation of a man who'd sold his soul and was trying to figure out how to buy it back. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry. They had photos, evidence. They were going to destroy my family." "How long?" Marcus asked, his voice deadly quiet. 6 months. Since the beginning of the investigation. Agent Thompson's gun was shaking in his hands. "But I never wanted anyone to get hurt." "Too late for that." Nia's voice came through the phone. "Agent Thompson, you know what you have to do." "No." Agent Thompson's voice was stronger now. "No, I won't do it. I can't." "Then you'll watch your daughter die instead. She's such a pretty little thing. 8 years old, isn't she? Walks to school every morning at exactly 7:45. Agent Thompson made a sound like a wounded animal. "Choose," Nia said simply. "Them or her." The silence stretched between them like a taut wire. Zara could see the war playing out on Agent Thompson's face, duty versus love, right versus survival, the impossible choice between strangers and family. "I'm sorry," he said again, and this time his gun was pointing at them. "Don't do this," Marcus said. "There has to be another way." "There is no other way." Agent Thompson's voice was broken. "They have my little girl. They have everything I care about. So you're going to kill us to save her." "I'm going to do what I have to do to protect my family." The gun steadied in Agent Thompson's hands. "Just like you would." Zara felt a strange calm settle over her. After everything they'd been through, after all the lies and manipulation and betrayal, it was going to end like this. In a government-safe house, killed by the man who was supposed to protect them. "Marcus," she said quietly. "Yeah. I need you to know something." "What?" "I love you. Not because of your money or your power or what you can do for me. I love you because you saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself." She looked at him, memorizing his face. "I love you because you made me believe I was worth loving." Marcus's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Zara. And I need you to know that whatever happens next, these past few weeks with you have been the best of my life." "Nothing's going to happen," Marcus said fiercely. "We're going to get out of this." "How?" Agent Thompson asked, and there was genuine anguish in his voice. "How do we get out of this when there's no good choice? When every option leads to someone dying?" That's when Zara realized something that made her blood run cold. "There is a way," she said slowly. "What?" Marcus asked. "Nia wants me dead. She wants to destroy me, to make me pay for ruining her perfect life." Zara looked at Agent Thompson. "What if I gave her what she wants?" "No." Marcus's voice was sharp. "Absolutely not. Think about it. If I'm dead, she gets her revenge. Agent Thompson's daughter stays safe. You get to live." Zara felt a strange peace settling over her. "Everyone wins." "Everyone except you," Marcus said. "I was never supposed to win, Marcus. I was never supposed to get the fairy tale ending." Zara smiled, and it was the saddest thing he'd ever seen. "But maybe I can make sure you do." Before anyone could stop her, Zara was moving toward Agent Thompson, toward his gun, toward the choice that would end everything. "Zara, no." But she was already reaching for the weapon, already making the decision that would save everyone she loved. The gun went off, and everything changed forever. The gunshot echoed through the safe house like thunder, but it wasn't Zara who fell. Agent Thompson crumpled to the floor, his weapon clattering across the linoleum as blood spread from his shoulder. Behind him, in the doorway, stood Detective Rodriguez with her service weapon drawn and a look of grim satisfaction on her face. "NYPD. Nobody move." "Rodriguez." Zara's voice came out as a croak. "How did you?" "GPS tracker in your phone. We've been monitoring your location since you left the station." Detective Rodriguez kept her gun trained on the wounded agent while speaking into her radio. "This is Rodriguez. I need paramedics and backup at the Queen's safe house. Officer down, but not one of ours." Agent Thompson groaned, clutching his shoulder. "My daughter." "Your daughter is safe," Detective Rodriguez said. "Has been for the past 6 hours. We moved her and your wife to protective custody the moment we figured out you were compromised." "But Nia said." "Nia Chen is a lot of things, but she's not omnipotent." Detective Rodriguez finally lowered her weapon. "The photos she showed you of your daughter? They were taken 3 weeks ago. The threats? All bluffs designed to keep you in line." Marcus helped Zara to her feet, both of them shaking from adrenaline. "How long have you known?" he asked. "About Thompson. Since this morning. About the larger conspiracy? We've been building a case for months." Detective Rodriguez checked Thompson's wound, painful but not life-threatening. "The FBI task force was compromised from the beginning. That's why we kept the NYPD investigation separate." Zara's phone, which had been silent since the gunshot, suddenly rang again. Nia's name flashed on the screen. "Answer it," Detective Rodriguez said. "But this time, we're ready for her." Zara accepted the call with trembling fingers. "Well, that was unexpected." Nia's voice was tight with controlled fury. "I have to admit, I didn't see that coming." "It's over, Nia," Zara said. "The police know everything." "Do they?" "Because I'm looking at some very interesting live footage right now. Footage of you and Marcus in what appears to be a very compromising situation." Nia's laugh was sharp as broken glass. "Amazing what you can do with deepfake technology these days." Detective Rodriguez was frantically signaling to someone off-screen, probably trying to trace the call or coordinate with other units. "What are you talking about?" Marcus asked. "I'm talking about the video that's about to be released to every major news outlet in the country. Video that shows Marcus Rivera and Zara Chen engaged in what appears to be insider trading discussions. Video that will destroy both of your reputations permanently." Zara felt her stomach drop. "That's impossible. We never." "Of course you never. But the video is very convincing. Amazing what artificial intelligence can accomplish when you have enough source material." Nia's voice was triumphant. "Hours of surveillance footage, voice recordings from your phone calls, a little digital magic, and voila, evidence of crimes you never committed but can never disprove." "Deepfakes can be detected," Marcus said. "Forensic analysis will prove they are fake." "Eventually, yes. But by then, the damage will be done. Your stock will have crashed, your merger will have collapsed, and your reputation will be in ruins." Nia's voice turned cold. "And that's just the beginning." Detective Rodriguez was writing something on a piece of paper, holding it up for Zara to see. "Keep her talking. We're almost there." "What do you want, Nia?" Zara asked. "I want you to come to my wedding. Both of you. I want you to walk down that aisle, smile for the cameras, and play the part of the loving sister one last time." Nia's voice was silk over steel. "Because if you don't, that video gets released. And then things get much, much worse for everyone you care about." "What do you mean?" "I mean Marcus's mother, who's flying in from Florida tomorrow. I mean Detective Rodriguez's teenage son, who walks home from school every day at 3:15. I mean everyone who's tried to help you, everyone who's shown you kindness, everyone who's made the mistake of caring about Zara Chen." The threat hung in the air like poison gas. Zara felt the walls closing in around her, felt the familiar weight of being trapped by her sister's machinations. "You're bluffing," Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Am I?" Agent Thompson thought I was bluffing too. Right up until he saw photos of his daughter's bedroom. Nia's laugh was like ice cracking. "I don't bluff, Marcus. I plan. I execute. I win." "What happens if we come to the wedding?" Zara asked. "Then you get to live. For a while. Long enough to see me marry the man of my dreams. Long enough to watch me become everything you never could be." Nia's voice turned dreamy, almost wistful. "And then, during the reception, there will be a terrible accident. A gas leak, perhaps. Or maybe a kitchen fire. These old buildings are so dangerous. You're talking about murdering 300 people. I'm talking about eliminating loose ends. The guests are just collateral damage." Nia's voice hardened again. "But their deaths will be on your head, Zara. Because you could have prevented all of this by just staying in your lane, by just accepting that some people are meant for greatness and others are meant to serve." Detective Rodriguez was making urgent hand signals now, pointing toward the door. Through the window, Zara could see police cars surrounding the building across the street. "We found her," Detective Rodriguez whispered. "She's in the building across from us. SWAT is moving in now." But Nia wasn't finished. "Oh, and Zara? One more thing. The reason I know so much about Marcus's business, the reason I was able to get so close to both of you." Nia's voice was triumphant. "It's because I've been planning this for years. Ever since college, when you got that scholarship I deserved. Ever since you got into that writing program I wanted. Ever since everyone started treating you like you were special when we both knew you were nothing. Nia, I've been watching you, studying you, learning everything about your pathetic little life. And when the opportunity came to destroy you completely, I took it. Nia's voice was pure venom now. David isn't my fiancé, Zara. He's my employee. This whole wedding, this whole relationship, it's all been designed to get close to you. To make you feel inferior. To set you up for the perfect fall. The revelation hit Zara like a physical blow. The wedding is fake. The wedding is very real. But the love, the romance, the perfect life you've been so jealous of. Nia laughed. All theater. All designed to make you desperate enough to do something stupid. Like approach a billionaire you had no business approaching. But you said you loved him. I love what he represents. I love the plan. I love watching you squirm. Nia's voice turned cold as winter. But love David Morrison? Please. He's a useful tool, nothing more. Through the window, Zara could see SWAT officers moving through the building across the street. They were close now. Very close. It's almost over, Detective Rodriguez whispered. But Nia had one more card to play. You know what the beautiful part is, Zara? Even if you stop me, even if you somehow manage to survive this, you'll never be able to trust your own feelings again. You'll never know if what you feel for Marcus is real or just gratitude. You'll never know if he loves you or just pities you. Nia's voice was a whisper now, intimate and devastating. I've poisoned everything good in your life. And that poison will eat away at you forever. You're wrong, Zara said, and her voice was stronger than she felt. Am I? Yes. Because what Marcus and I have, what we've built together, it's stronger than your lies. It's stronger than your manipulation. It's stronger than your hate. We'll see about that. The line went dead just as the sound of breaking glass echoed from across the street. Shouts, running footsteps, the controlled chaos of a police raid in progress. Detective Rodriguez's radio crackled to life. Rodriguez, this is SWAT team leader. Building is secure, but we have a problem. What kind of problem? The apartment is empty. Looks like it's been empty for hours. But there's something here you need to see. What? Enough explosives to level half the block. And a timer that's counting down. Detective Rodriguez went pale. How long? 4 to 7 minutes. Zara felt the world tilt around her. The wedding. What? Detective Rodriguez asked. The wedding starts in an hour. If Nia's not here, if this is all a diversion. Zara grabbed Marcus's arm. She's going to blow up the country club. With everyone inside. Including herself. She doesn't care. She'd rather die than let me win. Zara was already moving toward the door. We have to get there. We have to warn everyone. Zara, wait. Detective Rodriguez called after her. It's too dangerous. But Zara was already running, Marcus close behind her. Because she finally understood what this had always been about. Not money, not power, not even revenge. This was about a sister who'd rather destroy everything than let Zara have anything. And there were 300 innocent people about to pay the price for a lifetime of sibling rivalry. The race against time had begun. And Zara Chen was running toward the most important moment of her life. The moment when she would finally have to choose between saving herself and saving everyone else. The moment when she would discover what she was really made of. The wedding was 38 minutes away. And the clock was ticking. The Meridian Country Club sat like a jewel against the October sky, its manicured grounds dotted with white tents and elegant floral arrangements. From the outside, it looked like the perfect setting for a fairy tale wedding. Inside, it was a ticking time bomb. Zara and Marcus arrived in Detective Rodriguez's unmarked car, sirens wailing as they tore through the gates past startled valets and wedding guests. The parking lot was full of luxury vehicles, BMWs, Mercedes, Teslas, representing the cream of New York society, all of them unaware they were attending what might be their final social event. NYPD. Everyone needs to evacuate immediately. Detective Rodriguez was shouting into her radio as they screeched to a halt near the main entrance. This is not a drill. But even as police cars began flooding the grounds, Zara could see the problem. 300 guests were scattered across multiple buildings. The main ballroom, the cocktail terrace, the bridal suite, the gardens. Evacuating everyone would take time they didn't have. How long? Marcus asked, checking his watch. 23 minutes, Detective Rodriguez replied grimly. The bomb squad is en route, but they won't make it in time, Zara finished. She was already scanning the crowd, looking for any sign of Nia. She has to be here somewhere. She wouldn't miss her own grand finale. There! Marcus pointed toward the main ballroom, where through the floor-to-ceiling windows they could see a figure in white moving among the guests. That's her. Nia looked radiant in her wedding dress, a vision of bridal perfection as she glided from table to table, greeting guests with the kind of smile that belonged on magazine covers. She looked like a woman living her dream day, not someone who'd planted enough explosives to level a city block. She's saying goodbye, Zara realized with horror. She's making her rounds, saying goodbye to everyone before she kills them all, Marcus finished. Detective Rodriguez was coordinating with the arriving officers, trying to organize an evacuation that seemed impossible in the time they had left. We need to get everyone out of the main ballroom first. That's where the largest concentration of people are. What about the bomb? Zara asked. Bomb squad says it's sophisticated. Multiple charges placed throughout the building's infrastructure. Even if we find the main device, there could be dozens of smaller ones designed to bring down the whole structure. Zara felt a cold certainty settle in her chest. She's not planning to escape, is she? She's planning to die with everyone else. What makes you say that? Because that's the only way she wins. If she survives, she goes to prison. If she dies, she becomes a victim. A tragic bride killed by, what? A gas leak. Faulty wiring. She'll be remembered as a beautiful young woman whose life was cut short, not as a murderer. Marcus was staring at the ballroom, his expression grim. And we'll be remembered as the couple whose toxic relationship somehow caused this tragedy. Even in death, she gets to destroy our reputations. Not if we stop her, Zara said. How? We don't even know where the main device is. But she does. Zara was already moving toward the building. And I know how to make her tell us. Zara, wait. Detective Rodriguez called after her. You can't go in there. Someone has to. And it has to be me. Zara turned back, her face set with determination. She wants me, detective. This whole thing has always been about me. If I walk in there, she'll focus on me instead of the evacuation. It's suicide, Marcus said flatly. Maybe. But it's also the only chance those people have. Zara looked at him, memorizing his face one more time. Marcus, I need you to help coordinate the evacuation. Get as many people out as you can. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. Because if we both die in there, Nia wins completely. But if you survive, if you live to tell the truth about what happened here. Zara touched his face gently. Then maybe some good can come from all this. Before Marcus could argue further, Zara was running toward the main entrance, past confused guests and frantic police officers, into the heart of her sister's final trap. The ballroom was a vision of elegant perfection. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over tables draped in ivory silk, centerpieces of white roses and baby's breath creating an atmosphere of romantic luxury. A string quartet played softly in one corner while guests mingled with champagne glasses, completely unaware of the danger surrounding them. Nia stood at the center of it all, radiant in her designer gown, accepting congratulations and well wishes with the grace of a born performer. When she saw Zara enter, her smile didn't falter for even a second. Zara, she called out, her voice carrying across the room. You made it. I was beginning to worry you wouldn't come. Every head in the room turned toward Zara, and she felt the weight of 300 pairs of eyes studying her. She was still wearing the clothes she'd thrown on at the safe house, jeans, a wrinkled blouse, sneakers. Next to Nia's bridal perfection, she looked exactly like what she was, the poor relation, the failure twin, the charity case. We need to talk, Zara said, walking toward her sister with as much dignity as she could muster. Of course. But first, let me introduce you to some people. Nia's arm slipped through Zara's with sisterly affection that felt like a snake coiling around her. Everyone, this is my twin sister Zara, the one I've told you so much about. The murmurs that rippled through the crowd weren't entirely kind. Zara caught fragments of whispered conversations. The unemployed one. Heard she's been having some problems. Such a shame when one twin succeeds and the other. Nia, Zara said quietly. Oh, David had to step out for a moment. Last-minute wedding business, you understand. Nia's smile was brilliant, but her eyes were cold as winter. He'll be back soon. Just in time for the fireworks. The word fireworks sent a chill down Zara's spine. Nia, please. These people don't deserve to die because of our problems. Don't they? Nia's voice was still bright and cheerful, but her grip on Zara's arm tightened. Look around, Zara. Look at all these successful, beautiful, accomplished people. Look at their perfect lives, their perfect families, their perfect everything. Zara looked. She saw elderly couples who'd been married for 50 years, young families with children, successful professionals who'd worked hard for everything they had. She saw people who were guilty of nothing more than accepting a wedding invitation. They are innocent, Zara said. Are they? Or are they just like everyone else who's ever looked at you with pity? Everyone who's ever made you feel small and worthless and less than. Nia's voice dropped to a whisper that only Zara could hear. They are here to witness my triumph, Zara. My perfect wedding to my perfect husband in my perfect life. And when they die, they'll die knowing that I won. You're sick. I'm thorough. Nia's smile never wavered. Did you know that Marcus is here? I saw him outside with the police. Such a shame he couldn't make it inside to see how this ends. Zara's heart clenched. He's safe. For now. But Zara, you should know, the explosives aren't just in this building. I've had months to plan this. Months to place devices all over the grounds. Nia's eyes glittered with malicious joy. The parking lot, the gardens, the service buildings. When this place goes up, it's going to take everything with it, including anyone trying to help with the evacuation. The revelation hit Zara like a physical blow. Marcus wasn't safe. None of them were safe. Nia had planned for every contingency, every possible escape route. How long? Zara asked. 15 minutes. Maybe less. Nia glanced at her watch, a delicate diamond piece that caught the light like captured stars. Just enough time for me to say a few words to our guests. Before Zara could stop her, Nia was moving toward the small stage where the string quartet had been playing. She picked up a microphone, and her voice filled the room with warm, loving tones. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention for just a moment. The crowd turned toward her, champagne glasses raised, faces bright with anticipation. They expected a touching speech about love and commitment and new beginnings. I want to thank you all for being here today to celebrate what should have been the happiest day of my life, Nia began, her voice carrying perfectly to every corner of the room. Zara felt ice form in her veins. Should have been. You see, I've recently discovered some things about the people closest to me. Things that have made me realize that love, loyalty, and family are all just illusions we tell ourselves to make life bearable. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. This wasn't the kind of wedding speech anyone expected. My twin sister, for instance. Nia's eyes found Zara in the crowd. I've spent my entire life trying to help her, trying to lift her up, trying to make her feel worthy of the love and success that seemed to come so naturally to everyone else. Zara started moving toward the stage, but the crowd was thick, and she was still 20 feet away. But recently, I discovered that she's been lying to me. Using me. Manipulating me and the people I care about for her own selfish gain. Nia's voice was growing stronger, more passionate. She seduced a billionaire. Yes, Marcus Rivera is here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, not out of love, but out of greed. Out of jealousy. Out of a desperate need to prove that she was worth something. The crowd was turning now, looking for Marcus, looking for Zara, trying to understand what was happening. And when her lies were exposed, when her true nature was revealed, she couldn't bear the shame. She couldn't bear the thought that everyone would finally see her for what she really is. Nia's voice broke with what sounded like genuine emotion. So she decided that if she couldn't have happiness, no one could. Zara realized with horror what Nia was doing. She was rewriting the narrative in real time, making herself the victim and Zara the villain. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I have some terrible news. My sister has planted explosives throughout this building. In approximately 12 minutes, this entire structure is going to be destroyed, and all of us with it. The reaction was immediate and devastating. Screams, panic, people rushing toward the exits only to find them blocked by what appeared to be security guards but were probably Nia's accomplices. But don't worry, Nia continued, her voice cutting through the chaos. I've made sure that justice will be served. The world will know that Zara Chen was a disturbed, jealous woman who couldn't bear to see others succeed. And I will be remembered as the innocent victim who tried so hard to save her sister from herself. Zara finally reached the stage, but Nia was ready for her. As Zara climbed the steps, her sister pulled out a small device, a detonator. Hello, sister, Nia said, her microphone still live, her voice carrying to every corner of the panicking ballroom. Come to confess your sins. Nia, please. Let these people go. This is between us. Is it? Because I think it's about so much more than that. Nia held up the detonator where everyone could see it. I think it's about a lifetime of being overshadowed by someone who was supposed to be my equal. I think it's about watching everyone feel sorry for you while treating me like I was somehow responsible for your failures. That's not true. Isn't it? Do you know what it's like to be the successful twin? Do you know what it's like to have every achievement questioned, every success diminished, because people are too busy worrying about your poor, struggling sister? Zara could see the pain in Nia's eyes now, the years of resentment and hurt that had twisted into something monstrous. I'm sorry, she said, and meant it. I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. I'm sorry if my problems overshadowed your successes. But Nia, these people didn't do anything to you. They don't deserve to die because of our issues. Don't they? Nia's laugh was bitter. Look at them, Zara. Look at how they are looking at you now. Zara looked. The crowd had stopped panicking and was staring at her with a mixture of fear, confusion, and growing anger. They believed Nia's story. They believed Zara was the terrorist, the disturbed woman who'd planted the bombs. You see, Nia said softly, even now, even when I'm the one holding the detonator, they believe I'm the victim and you're the villain. Because that's what people want to believe. That success is virtue and failure is sin. Nia. But here's the beautiful part, sister dear. In about 8 minutes, when this place goes up in flames, the story will be that the jealous, unstable Zara Chen finally snapped and killed 300 innocent people, including her own sister. Nia's smile was radiant, terrible. And I'll be the tragic victim who died trying to stop you. Except you'll be just as dead as everyone else. Yes, but I'll be remembered as a hero. And you'll be remembered as a monster. Nia raised the detonator. I think that's a fair trade. That's when Zara heard it, a sound that made her heart soar with hope and terror in equal measure. Marcus's voice, coming through a bullhorn from outside. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Marcus Rivera. The building is surrounded by police and federal agents. The exits are being cleared now. Please move in an orderly fashion toward the main doors. Nia's face twisted with rage. He's supposed to be dead. The parking lot charges should have. Should have what? Zara asked. Killed him. Killed the police officers. Killed everyone trying to help. Yes. Nia screamed, her composure finally cracking. Yes, they should all be dead. Because this is my day. My moment. My perfect ending. It doesn't have to end this way, Zara said desperately. Nia, you're brilliant, you're beautiful, you're successful. You have everything anyone could want. Why throw it all away for revenge? Because having everything means nothing if you have it. Nia pointed the detonator at Zara like a weapon. Because every success I've ever had has been tainted by the knowledge that people were comparing me to you. Poor Zara, struggling Zara, pathetic Zara who needed everyone's help and sympathy. I never wanted that. You didn't have to want it. You just had to be you. You just had to exist and be less than me and make everyone feel sorry for you. Tears were streaming down Nia's face now, ruining her perfect makeup. Do you know what it's like to be hated for succeeding? Do you know what it's like to have people resent you for being good at things? Zara felt her heart break for her sister, for the pain that had been festering between them for years without either of them really understanding it. I never hated you for succeeding, she said softly. I was proud of you. I was always proud of you. Liar. It's true. Every time you got an award, every time you got promoted, every time you accomplished something amazing, I was proud to be your sister. Zara stepped closer, ignoring the detonator. I was also jealous, yes. I was also hurt that things seemed to come so easily to you. But I was never anything but proud of what you achieved. Then why? Nia's voice broke. Why did everyone always act like I was the problem? Why did Mom and Dad always make me feel guilty for doing well when you were struggling? Because they love us both. And when one of your children is hurting, you try to protect them. It doesn't mean they loved you less. Zara was close enough to touch her sister now. Nia, you were never the problem. You were never responsible for my failures. You were just you. Brilliant, driven, successful you. But you hate me. No. I hate what we've become. I hate that we let other people's expectations and comparisons poison what should have been the most important relationship in both our lives. Zara reached out slowly, carefully. But I don't hate you. I could never hate you. For a moment, she looked like the sister Zara remembered from childhood, vulnerable, uncertain, desperately wanting to be loved. It's too late, Nia whispered. I've done terrible things. I've hurt people. It's not too late. Not if you help me stop this. Zara held out her hand. Nia, give me the detonator. Let's end this the right way. Behind them, the ballroom was emptying as police officers guided panicked guests toward the exits. Through the windows, Zara could see Marcus coordinating with the bomb squad, his face tight with concentration and fear. He really loves you, doesn't he? Nia asked, following Zara's gaze. Yes, I think he does. Even after everything? Even knowing how this all started? Yes. Nia was quiet for a long moment, studying Marcus through the glass. I never had that. I thought I did, with David, but it was all fake. All part of the plan. You can have it. Real love, real happiness. But not like this. How? How can I have anything after what I've done? Nia's voice was small, broken. I've destroyed people's lives. I've committed federal crimes. You can start by saving 300 innocent people. Zara stepped closer. You can start by choosing to be the person I always believed you could be. Nia looked at the detonator in her hand, then at the remaining guests being evacuated, then at Zara. If I give you this, I go to prison. For a long time. Probably. And you get to live happily ever after with your billionaire. Maybe. Or maybe we'll figure out how to build something real together. Something that isn't based on lies or manipulation or revenge. Zara held out her hand again. But either way, 300 people get to go home to their families tonight. Nia stared at her sister's outstretched hand for what felt like an eternity. The ballroom was almost empty now, just a few stragglers being helped toward the exits by police officers. I'm scared, Nia whispered. I know. So am I. What if I can't be better? What if this is just who I am? Then you'll figure it out one day at a time. But Nia, you're not a monster. You're a person who made terrible choices because you were in terrible pain. That doesn't excuse what you've done, but it doesn't mean you can't choose differently now. Slowly, carefully, Nia placed the detonator in Zara's hand. The moment Zara's fingers closed around the device, she felt a weight lift from her chest that she hadn't even realized was there. It was over. The immediate danger was over. Bomb squad, she called out, holding the detonator high where the remaining officers could see it. I have the primary device. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Bomb technicians swarmed the stage while other officers gently but firmly took Nia into custody. She didn't resist, didn't fight, just stood there looking lost and small in her elaborate wedding dress. Zara! Marcus's voice cut through the chaos as he ran into the ballroom, his face wild with relief and terror. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine, she said, and realized it was true. For the first time in months, maybe years, she was actually fine. Marcus reached her just as the bomb squad finished securing the detonator. He pulled her into his arms with a desperation that spoke of how close they'd come to losing everything. I thought I'd lost you, he whispered against her hair. When you ran in here, when I couldn't follow. I'm okay. We're okay. Zara pulled back to look at him. Marcus, about everything that happened between us, about the lies and the manipulation. We'll figure it out, he said firmly. Whatever we have to work through, whatever trust we have to rebuild, we'll figure it out together. Even knowing that our entire relationship started as a lie. Our relationship started the moment you walked into that coffee shop and refused to let your circumstances define you. Everything else is just background noise. Before Zara could respond, Detective Rodriguez appeared at her elbow. Ms. Chen, we need to get you out of here. The bomb squad found 17 separate devices throughout the building. It's going to take hours to clear them all. As they walked toward the exit, Zara looked back to see Nia being led away in handcuffs. Their eyes met for a moment across the chaos, and Nia mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." Zara nodded, feeling tears prick at her eyes. It would be a long time before they could have any kind of relationship again, if ever. But maybe, someday, they could find their way back to being sisters instead of enemies. Outside, the country club grounds looked like a disaster movie set. Emergency vehicles everywhere, guests being interviewed by police, media trucks already arriving to cover what would undoubtedly be the biggest story of the year. Ms. Chen. A reporter thrust a microphone in her face. Can you tell us what happened in there? Is it true that your sister was planning to kill everyone at her own wedding? No comment, Marcus said firmly, stepping between Zara and the cameras. But Zara put a hand on his arm. It's okay. She looked directly into the camera, knowing that whatever she said now would define how this story was told. My sister is a brilliant, accomplished woman who made some terrible choices because she was in tremendous pain. What happened here today was the result of years of misunderstanding, resentment, and hurt that should never have been allowed to fester. Zara's voice was steady, clear. But it was also the result of my sister choosing, in the end, to do the right thing. She could have killed 300 innocent people tonight. Instead, she chose to save them. Are you saying she's a hero? I'm saying she's human. And humans are capable of both terrible and wonderful things, sometimes in the same moment. Zara looked toward the police car where Nia sat, her wedding dress a stark white against the dark interior. I hope she gets the help she needs. And I hope someday we can find our way back to being family. The reporter started to ask another question, but Marcus was already guiding Zara away, toward a quiet corner of the parking lot where they could finally be alone. That was generous, he said. After everything she put you through, everything she tried to do. She's still my sister. And she saved all those people when she could have killed them. Zara leaned against his car, suddenly exhausted. Besides, I'm tired of hate. I'm tired of anger and resentment and all the toxic emotions that brought us to this point. So what do you want instead? Zara looked at him, this incredible man who'd somehow seen something worth loving in her, who'd stood by her through the worst crisis of her life, who was looking at her now like she was the most precious thing in his world. I want to build something real with you. Something honest and healthy and based on who we actually are, not who we think we should be. She reached for his hand. I want to write stories that matter. I want to help people. I want to make a difference in the world. And us? What do you want for us? I want to take it slow. I want to rebuild trust. I want to learn how to love someone without needing them to save me. Zara smiled, feeling lighter than she had in years. And I want to meet your mother next week and try not to completely embarrass myself. Marcus laughed, the sound rich and warm and full of promise. She's going to love you. How can you be sure? Because I love you. And my mother has excellent taste in people. As they stood there in the parking lot, surrounded by the chaos of emergency vehicles and media crews, Zara felt something she hadn't experienced in a long time. Hope. Real, genuine hope for the future. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. For a moment, her heart clenched with fear. Was this another threat? Another manipulation? But when she opened it, she found something unexpected. Ms. Chen, this is Sarah Martinez from the New York Times. We'd like to offer you a position as a staff writer covering social justice issues. Your story today, and the way you handled an impossible situation, suggests you have exactly the kind of voice we're looking for. Please call me when you're ready to discuss terms. Zara showed the message to Marcus, who grinned. Looks like someone was paying attention to more than just the drama, he said. Marcus, I can't take a job just because of what happened today. That would be someone recognizing your talent and your character under pressure. That would be you getting an opportunity you've earned. He squeezed her hand. Besides, I have it on good authority that the New York Times doesn't hire people out of pity. How would you know? Because I sit on their board of directors. Zara stared at him. You what? Surprise. Marcus's grin was sheepish. I was going to mention it eventually. But Zara, I want you to know, I had nothing to do with this offer. Sarah Martinez makes her own hiring decisions. If she's reaching out to you, it's because she sees something special. Everything in my life is connected to you somehow. Not everything. Your talent is yours. Your courage is yours. Your ability to see the good in people, even people who've hurt you, that's all you. Marcus cupped her face in his hands. I may have given you opportunities, but you're the one who seized them. As the sun set over the country club grounds, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Zara felt like she was finally seeing clearly for the first time in years. The path ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be trials, investigations, media scrutiny, and the long process of rebuilding her relationship with Marcus on a foundation of honesty instead of manipulation. But for the first time in her life, she felt ready for the challenge. So what happens now? She asked. Now we go home. We order takeout because I'm pretty sure neither of us has eaten today. We talk about everything and nothing. And tomorrow, we start building the life we actually want instead of the one we think we're supposed to have. That sounds perfect. As they walked toward Marcus's car, Zara's phone rang one more time. This time it was her mother. Zara, sweetheart, I just saw the news. Are you okay? Is Nia okay? What happened? Zara looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. It's a long story, Mom. But we're both okay. And I think we're going to be better than okay. I don't understand. I know. But I promise I'll explain everything. Can you come to the city tomorrow? I want you to meet someone. Of course, sweetheart. I'll be there. As they drove away from the country club, leaving behind the chaos and the cameras and the wreckage of Nia's perfect wedding, Zara felt something she hadn't experienced in years: peace. Not the peace of resignation or defeat, but the peace of finally knowing who she was and what she wanted. The peace of choosing love over hate, hope over despair, truth over comfortable lies. Marcus, she said as they merged onto the highway. Yeah. I love you. Not because you saved me, not because you're successful, not because you make me feel worthy. She reached over and took his hand. I love you because you see me, the real me, and you choose to stay anyway. Always, he said simply. I'll always choose to stay. And as the lights of Manhattan glittered ahead of them like promises waiting to be kept, Zara Chen finally understood what it meant to be enough. Not perfect, not without flaws, not without a complicated past. But enough. Just as she was. The coffee shop where it all began had become their place. Every Sunday morning, Marcus and Zara would meet there for breakfast, reading the paper and planning their week. It had become a ritual, a way of honoring how far they'd come. Zara's byline was becoming familiar to New York Times readers. Her series on corporate corruption had won a Polk Award. Her investigation into the network that had recruited Nia had led to 17 arrests and the dismantling of an organization that had been destroying lives for years. Marcus's company had not only survived the scandal but emerged stronger. The merger had gone through, creating thousands of jobs and establishing a new foundation focused on helping people rebuild their lives after financial disasters. And Nia was serving her sentence at a minimum security facility in upstate New York. She was getting therapy, taking college courses, and slowly learning how to build an identity that wasn't based on competition or resentment. She and Zara exchanged letters now, careful conversations about healing and forgiveness and the possibility of someday being sisters again. There's something I want to ask you, Marcus said, setting down his coffee cup. What's that? My mother's birthday is next month. She wants to have a big party, invite all the family. Marcus's eyes were nervous, hopeful. She specifically requested that I bring that wonderful girl who saved my life. I didn't save your life. Didn't you? Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. Zara, before I met you, I was successful but empty. I had everything I thought I wanted and nothing that actually mattered. You changed that. You changed me. You changed me too. So you'll come? To the party? Of course I'll come. I love your mother. Good. Because there's something else. Marcus was fidgeting now, clearly nervous about something. The party is going to be at my family's house in the Hamptons. And I was thinking, maybe we could make a weekend of it. Maybe we could. He trailed off, reaching into his jacket pocket and pulling out a small velvet box. Zara's heart stopped. Marcus. I know it's fast. I know we've only been together for 6 months, and most of that time has been spent dealing with federal investigations and media attention and family drama. Marcus opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring that caught the morning light like captured starfire. But Zara, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Marcus, You don't have to answer now. You don't have to answer ever, if you're not ready. But I needed you to know that when I think about my future, when I imagine the life I want to build, you're in every single moment of it. Zara stared at the ring, at this man who'd somehow seen past all her defenses to the person she was meant to be, at the life they'd built together from the ashes of lies and manipulation. What did this story teach you about second chances? She asked, echoing the question he'd posed to her months ago. It taught me that sometimes the best things in life come from the worst circumstances. It taught me that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone whose imperfections complement your own. Marcus's voice was soft, certain. It taught me that you're worth fighting for, worth waiting for, worth everything. Zara looked around the coffee shop where their story had begun, at the barista who'd helped Marcus learn her order, at the corner booth where she'd sat alone and desperate just 6 months ago. Yes, she said simply. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I want to build a life with you. Yes, I want to take on whatever comes next together. She held out her hand, watching as he slipped the ring onto her finger with hands that shook slightly. And yes, I think your mother is going to be insufferable about being right about us. Marcus laughed, the sound bright and joyful and full of promise. She's already planning the wedding. Of course she is. As they sat there in their coffee shop, planning their future and laughing about his mother's inevitable interference, Zara felt the last piece of her old life fall away. The woman who'd walked into this place 6 months ago, desperate, angry, convinced she was worthless, was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone who'd learned that love wasn't about being saved but about choosing to save yourself. Someone who'd discovered that the best revenge against people who tried to make you feel small was simply refusing to stay small. Someone who'd finally learned that she was enough, just as she was. What did this story teach you about the power of choosing love over revenge, and how sometimes our greatest challenges become our greatest opportunities for growth? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories that will change how you see the world.